Blessings, blessings, everyone. You are tuned into another Selah Mindset production. We are going to be discussing during this episode youth and teen dating violence. So we know what's been going on with the unfortunate cases of domestic violence, fatal domestic violence, not just someone being abused, but someone losing their life, multiple people losing their life, women and children. Now we want to kind of talk about what it looks like at a younger age, because we see that on the rise too. And before I bring up the panel, first I introduce myself. I'm Steph Jones, also known as Sala Calandra, marriage and family therapist, mindfulness life coach. But I want to say this, right? A lot of people, from what I've been seeing on different posts and IG and Facebook and TikTok and all these things, I think a lot of people feel like they can't do something towards this effort in our community. Like, oh, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a social worker, I'm not a life coach, I'm not in that field, so I can't do anything. I want to say to that, right, and reiterate while we're on this episode before I bring the panel up. If we're talking about going back to community, and if we're saying that your business is my business, not to be nosy, but to let you know that you're not in this alone, then we need to say, what can I do in this? Okay, I might not be able to do this. I might not be able to go live. I might not be able to bring up a panel of clinicians and experts. But what can I do to make sure that this pandemic, this epidemic is stopped? That this issue that we see in our community that's always been around, but now we have the opportune time to really address it from a healthy and whole place. What can we all do to say, I'm doing my part to make sure that this is not going to go on in my community? We might not be able to reach the whole world, but what can we do in our own separate communities to say, I'm going to say this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to give to this effort, I'm going to volunteer here, I'm going to learn more about domestic violence in the home, in the school, wherever. So I want to put the onus on everybody that you might not be able to do what you want to do, but you can do something. We can all do something. And when we all do something, we'll notice that our community is far better than what it is. And so let me get off my little soapbox, okay, and let me bring up the panel so we can jump into this discussion. Again, thank you for joining. And if you're just coming on, we are going to be talking about youth domestic violence or teen dating violence, what we see and how it looks like and what it shows up to be in our younger population. Let me bring up my amazing panel. They introduce themselves, and then we're just going to flow into an amazing conversation. Hey, 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 hey.
Hey, hey.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you for answering the call. Much appreciated. I know we're busy and we have things going on, but thank you, thank you, thank you. So before we jump into the conversation, just wanted to give everybody the opportunity to introduce themselves, let everybody know who you are, and then we'll flow. I'm just going to go from the way I see it. Lady D or Dominique, I call her Lady D, but sorry, girl. Dominique Jones, sorry.
Good to go. So yeah, I'm Dominique. It is good to be back in this space one more time. So I have been a therapist for quite some time now, specifically focusing on just trauma in general. So why not talk about this? The founder of Healing with Dominique, and just a community healer, individuals, small groups, policy, wherever we need healing, that's where I want to be. So good to be here.
Awesome, 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 awesome. Jeremy.
Hey guys, like Dominique said, glad to be back in the room. Praise him. My name is Jermaine. I'm a licensed mental health counselor, founder and visionary behind the Fighting Chance Counseling Services. And I have an event coming up. So I'm the founder and visionary of Occupy Your Space. It's not just an event, it is a movement. And working with young people. So let me be clear. Teens and young adults, and then women of color are my specialty. And again, glad to be here.
Awesome, awesome. And you'll have some time at the end to really dive into your event, give people the link and all that. Okay, so we'll make sure to provide that space.
Yeah,
brother.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. So used to doing these at night.
Right.
As always, Lady Lala, thank you for inviting me and to have these important conversations. And I'm here to give the male perspective, of these topics because it's important not to know both. And my name is Khalid Scott. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, also, a DV counselor. I'm a mentor, and I'm a father of a beautiful girl. So I'm very invested in these conversations.
Amen.
Again, thank you for having me. And nice meeting you, my two new co-panelists.
Hello.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
All right.
And it's so important to have the male perspective. I think we miss out on that, right? Like I think we give the male perspective as women, and it's just a reality, right? We can do that. We can say what we think, but to have you here and to have not just any male, someone who's been in the field for decades,
Yeah.
who's done the work, who's
Yeah.
seen what's going on and can give that awesome perspective, like yes, we need all that. And I think the combination of our thoughts and our opinions and our experiences is just perfect. All right, panel, let's jump in. We've seen what's going on, we've seen what's happening, and what I have not seen though is us talking about domestic violence or teen dating violence, right? We know what occurs, but when this happened, everyone was talking about it in an adult space. But there's something going on. So from your perspective and your experience, what have you been seeing, or what have you been identifying as what's been going on with our younger population?
Right. If I may start, I mentor young Black males ranging from age 14 to my oldest mentee is 44. I
Mm,
got him when he was 14 years old. So I've been doing it that long. And I've always heard the conversations about how teen boys are aggressive with their teen girlfriends. And I remember the first time hearing that, and it's just like, well, what is that about? You know what I'm saying? I had a client actually who jumped on a girlfriend when he was 17 and she was 15.
mm,
And come to find out is because, and I call it the Chris Brown syndrome, that this young man witnessed domestic violence with his mother and her
mm,
partners. So in his head, it's okay for a man to hit a woman because my mother
mm,
allowed it. My mother, was resilient with it. And plus, it was a way to get this young lady to act right, to
mm,
be in her place. So he's starting off as a young boy thinking that I have to be aggressive with women in order to get my way. And we did deep counseling about how wrong that was. And I had to ask them, did it feel good when you saw your mother abused and battered? No. But again, his message was my mom stayed with the batterer. So it must be okay you know and then I've went and spoke at many grammar schools and many high schools, and when I talk to the school counselors and the school social workers and the teachers and the principals and the students, this is running rampant.
mm,
Again, the children are seeing it enact at home. They're seeing it on television. They're seeing it on social media. So now we have made it acceptable, even though it's toxic and dysfunctional. When your role models show you something over and over and consistently, as a young person, you think this is what it's supposed to be about. And then in the reverse, our young ladies are feeling like I'm supposed to take this type of treatment. Why? Because the
mm.
women I love and look up to are accepting these behaviors. So we got to recondition everybody now.
Mhm. Yeah. So I want to jump into because so I work at a boarding school, and so I get to see all these amazing scholars from middle school to high school. And I get to see them in a different way because they don't have their parents around.
Mhm.
And they're living life on a campus at young
Mhm,
ages. And so they still have these normal moments, right? Having a boyfriend, having a girlfriend, they still have these moments. And what I'm noticing on top of what was just mentioned, a lot of young ladies are also abusers as well. They tend to be, and maybe not physical, even though I've seen physical too. But I noticed that with young ladies, they are very verbally. So a lot of just demeaning a young man, calling them out their names. And young men are conditioned to kind of take that too. So to hear the word just conditioning and all these different things, it just goes to show that although in different spaces, it's happening to both male and females. Abuse is happening, violence is happening. I did a couple of studies because this hits home for me just because of my personal testimony. So I've always done like a couple of statistics and stats, and I'm always trying to figure out how I can motivate a young lady or a young man. And I pulled up some, if you don't mind, I want to share like 3 of them. So it says 1 in 3 teens in the U.S. will experience some form of dating abuse before they even become adults. That's 1 in 3 teens. About 1 in 12 high school students experience physical dating violence, right? Then about 1 in 10 experience sexual dating violence. Right. So and this is most recent. These are most recent from CDC, Community Resource Center. These are most recent. And that has grown because when I came out of high school, that number was much smaller. We weren't seeing 1 out of 10 or 1 out of 12. We had a little bit more room, but now it's getting so like we said, so rampant. It's becoming a normal thing. And I think these conversations are so important because it challenges what we have created as normal, right? We talk about the word all the time, and it says that wickedness will be seen as normal, as righteous, and righteousness will be seen as wicked, right? So we're walking in a world where now these things, these evil, wicked, unrighteous, mean-hearted things are becoming normal in our community on a daily basis. So I wanted to start off with that because it's really interesting to see that these are the stats. These are the things that we can kind of put on data and numbers on paper. So yeah, this is good. This is good talk.
Yeah, and it's necessary. And you know what I mean? It's like when that, like, I know that the data doesn't lie. Like, it's right there. You know what I mean? It speaks for itself. The numbers are right there. So if someone's trying to say, oh, it's not that bad, that it's right there. And any percent of that is too much.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Any percent of that occurring is too much. So thank you for bringing the data and the stats, because that helps people to say, okay, this is real. Like, oh, like these numbers are real. They had real test subjects. They had real students and young people that they saw. And like, this is real.
Yeah. So if we look at a normal classroom and, public school over here, let's say you have 30 or 40 kids. So if you're saying 1 in 10, that means in your 30 or 40 kids, there's at least 4 of them, that might be experiencing some type of sexual dating violence, right? These are important because now how does this show up in their academics? How does this show up in how they socialize? How does this show up in how they will eventually grow up into a world where they now have influence over another person? These things, it's just so important to talk about.
I would say my first, I think, real, outside of personal life, right? My first interaction with this is when I was working at a group home, and we had a young lady that was in the C-sex, so she was getting sexually trafficked. And they're like, she's so young, and how could this happen? And then after a while, there were some recruiters that were not just outside of the program. She herself became a recruiter. So now she's recruiting in the house. And they're like, you're 15 going 16. Like, how is this happening? And I'm like, why do we not know that this is like legitimately happening? And then I think with young people, it's always like, well, whose fault is it? Who's the cause of all of these issues? Is it the parents? Is it the neighborhood? Is it the schools? Is it social media now? And it's like, regardless of why, the fact is that it's happening. And I think the fact that it is being normalized because we have parents that are being abused, and then the kids are seeing, and it's like, well, this must be what love means. Love hurts. And then that's why they came up, excuse me, and panned that saying, love doesn't hurt, right?
Mm.
To say like, yeah, we should not be getting knocked upside the head and be like, oh, but that's a form of love. But we forget that before the abuse happened, there's all this psychological
Right.
deconstruction that's happening.
Yes,
Like,
it
I got to
is.
break you down mentally. I got to make you feel like I'm the only person in your world that matters. I have to, like, the control factor of the mind is where it
Yes,
starts. It
ma'am.
doesn't start with the abuse. And I think people have these misconceptions of, oh, I would never stay with someone
Uh-huh.
who's gonna knock me upside the head. And it's like, it doesn't start there though.
And don't say you won't.
Right.
Right.
Mom used to say never. And I
Never
found
say never.
I should never say never. But
Mhm.
these young people, because they don't have their identity developed yet, because
Yeah.
they don't have that assurance that they can stand on this is who I am, and this is what love means, and this is what relationships look like, and this is what happiness looks like. Because they don't have those definitions, it's easily to get distorted.
Yeah.
Because it's distorted by interactions in family and environments and social media. This is why it becomes more prevalent, like this, the stats that John was saying, like those are real, because like who's having these conversations earlier, like who is
Exactly.
them like, oh, I'm gonna wait until my child's a certain age, and it's like by the time they're 12, somebody somewhere has already violated your child. So
Absolutely.
we have to, although yes, development is something we have to be sensitive about, where you're not going to talk to this maybe to like a 5-year-old, but at the same time understand, like, if someone touches your body inappropriately, tell somebody and make it known, instead of just normalizing it and saying like, oh yeah, well, that happens, or the kid's too fearful to say something because of whatever repercussions. So
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's real. And I just when you guys are talking, I'm like, and there's like a whole dynamic of like, and I want the male perspective on this. There's a whole dynamic of like, it's cool to do that. You know what I mean? Especially from a male perspective, like when you talk with your guy friends, like, you know what I mean? When you talk amongst yourself, like, it's cool. Like, you seem like you gain cool points for either keeping someone in check, or, you have that domination, that control. You know what I mean? Can we kind of expound on that? Like, and then on the opposite side, it's like, okay, the woman, or the not even a woman yet. You're just a young girl, but it seems like we've been trained or taught like that you're just supposed to be. We talk about submission. You're supposed to be submissive in those relationships. That comes in marriage, but that's a whole different thing. But like, you're supposed to be submissive in those relationships. So it's like on one side, for the boys, it's cool. You got your girl in check. And then it's like, oh, but I'm supposed to be submissive in that way. So it kind of messes with your mind in that way.
Absolutely. So when you talk to men in general, and I'm even hearing teenage boys say
Yeah.
this, and we've been hearing it lately, that when it comes to my relationships with women, I just want peace, right? I just want somebody who makes me feel valued and appreciated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
most men and boys that I know, they love the women in their village. They love the
Mm-hmm.
women in their family. They love their mom, granny, aunties, cousins, sisters. So there's a value, right? But also we get sent mixed messages, right? So we hear that women are attracted to thug life, the bad
Mm-hmm.
boy, the guy with toxicity and dysfunctional behaviors.
mm,
Because if we act the polar opposite, then we're goofies, then
mm,
we're peons,
Mm.
then we're Russell Wilsons,
mm,
right?
Ooh.
And that's not a compliment being called Russell Wilson, even though it's the highest compliment
Mm-hmm.
based on how that man presents himself, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's again goes back to the reconditioning, right? And yes, men want to know that I have a spouse, I have a mate, I have a girlfriend, wife, what have you, who we work together. She brings me peace, I bring her support, you know. But also we hear mixed messages from women saying that I like a man who's a little dominant. I want a alpha male. And see, it's how we define these things. When we hear alpha male, in my head, it means take charge guy, responsible guy, handles his business, very assertive, knows what he wants, has confidence. But some people take that definition of saying he's a person who's going to put me in line, you know? So that's why both parties have to do the work, right? And then women understand this. You all have all the power over us. You think you don't, but you have all the power. And I know all of you all are real young, but I'm a 90s guy, so back in the 90s, we did everything to make women want us. We was at the car wash Saturday morning. We was getting our jeans pressed in the cleaners. We was borrowing $200 from our best friend so we can take you all out to dinner and go
Y'all
to
were begging. You guys were begging in songs, Jodeci, all that. Yes, yes, yes.
You wrong for that. You wrong.
Begging. Okay.
Hey, I'll take it.
I ain't
Come
mad
on.
at Keith Sweat. I ain't never mad at Keith Sweat. You know what I'm saying? But it shifted. It shifted. And we started to require less. And our bar went down. And we started tolerating people's mess. And when we think about these cases that we're talking about with domestic violence, younger and older people, what we're seeing is red flags were ignored. And then when we did really say enough is enough, now I'm so into you that you know what? If I can't have you, nobody's going to have you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And people are looking at it as, I know the monster inside the house. I don't know the monster outside the house. So let me just continue to hold on to the monster with his fangs and his claws and, tail that I'm familiar with. So again, it goes back to reconditioning. And, for any of us who went through DV training, right, it tells you, you never tell the victim to walk and leave. You give them options because they know their scenario better than you. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, you want people to start making better choices. A couple of weeks ago, when I heard about all those women who got killed by their intimate partners, I had to go and call my 23-year-old daughter and said, Anaya, forgive daddy. She said, what you mean, daddy? Well, daddy, my daughter's in medical school, and I've been kind of down low, pressuring her to go out here and date because I don't want my daughter to be alone. You know what I'm saying? And I want to have grandkids in about 10 more years, right? It hit me, Khalid, be quiet. Let your daughter enjoy being a 23-year-old, young, single, beautiful girl in Chicago in medical school and live her life on her terms. Because of the pressure we put on, especially to you women, to be in relationships, then the mindset is, who am I if I don't have a man in my life? And I'll take any piece of a man, even the one who hits me and disrespects me. So we got to start the reconditioning with parents.
Yeah.
We got to tell our kids, be okay being single until you find that person that's for you and for you.
Yeah. No, so true. I want to tie in the church piece, right? Because I think the church has done a lot of harm, intentionally or unintentionally. I
Yeah.
think the church has done a lot of harm with forcing people to get married, and marriage is beautiful, right? But forcing people, I also blame Disney, and I'm not trying to be funny, but the princess, the knight in shining armor, you plant that seed in someone's head, you all you're now looking for is a marriage. Jermaine and I, we went to Eastern Nazarene, and I ended up living on campus there, right, as a grad assistant. And there were so many people who said they wanted a ring before spring. Like they wanted a ring before the spring of their senior year, and they didn't feel adequate they didn't feel worthy. They didn't feel enough unless they were getting married at that college. And so what you were saying, I'm like, oh, this is so true. Someone would stay in a relationship. If I feel pressured to be married, if I feel pressured to have to get in this relationship, yeah, I'm going to stay, even if you're not just physically beating me, but if you're emotionally abusing me, I'm going to stay. Isn't that what God would want? I mean, goodness, like, yeah.
Tom said, leave Disney out of this.
Not too much on
No,
Disney.
it's true. And you know it.
It is. Because
No.
like the pressure of, and this, like talking to young people, like what someone has said, one of these kids I work with has said, you know what, I may not be completely suicidal. And one reason why I'm not is because I ain't had sex yet. I said, Miss Ma'am, like, hold
Got
on.
something to look forward to.
Hold on. I said that I tried not to laugh, but I was like, that's our priority is
That's the priority.
dying as a virgin. And it's like, okay. And so like, I really feel like these young people don't understand what their identity is rooted in. As a young person, I wasn't raised in the church, but from 12 on, I was in the church. And one of the first things that I did was I was brought in front of me and some of the other young ladies around my age was brought in front of the church. And we were told to make a vow to not have sex until we were married. Yes. And I was like, I guess this is what we're doing here, then fine. And then it was like one was having a kid and then another one was doing this. And then everyone looked at me like, Jermaine, it's like the fate lies on you, girl. And it's like, first of all, hold on. What?
The fate was lying on all of us. Don't be putting this all on me now.
Right. Because the boy should have been right down there too. But
hey, now we won't know about it. But like, and I'm like, dude, that's too much pressure on me. First of all, I'm trying to figure out how to deal with my own urges and things. But now I got a whole church that's like, Jermaine, you got to be the example. You have got to be. And I said, listen here, y'all. Thank God the Lord didn't take his hand or blink not once, because Jermaine would have fell into all the stuff that everybody else was. But I feel like when you don't, again, I feel like so as many events and studies that I've been doing, I realize how important identity is to proper development, to purpose, to meaning, to focus, to direction in life. And when you don't know, you kind of just take a little bit of everything. It's like, yeah, sure. Why not? Let's do this. And then we have young people who nobody's having those hard conversations. Like people ask me all the time, Jermaine, young people love you. What do you do? It's like, I listen to them. I don't talk at them. I listen to them. We joke, we banter, we go back and forth, but they respect that because I'm not telling them what you should or should not do. I'm definitely, as a mentor, I'm definitely going to say something. But like, if you listen to them, you listen to where their heart is, you listen to where their mind is. And all of these young people that I'm working with, I'm like, y'all, I promise you, I can't tell you exactly how you're going to get there, but here's how this thing pans out. If you keep letting these boys talk to you any type of way, or if you keep letting these girls puff up your ego or emasculate you, so now you feel like you gotta, this is manhood, so now I gotta be this and I gotta do. First of all, I just don't understand where they're getting these definitions of manhood and femininity. And if I wear a certain skirt or my bust line is a little down, well then I must have asked for it. And it's like, first of all, me being a big girl in all the senses, it's like some of these shirts, when you walk and you move, they naturally just kind of wiggle their way down. And it's like, I'm not asking for dudes to be, ooga over my, that's so old, y'all. But like all over the and stuff. And I got hips. I'm not trying to walk to sashay my way, be like, yeah, like this is it. But nobody talks about when you are a fully developed 13-year-old, what that then looks like to other people. So now I'm being shamed for being fully developed at 13. I don't know what to do with it. These things just kind of grew there, and it's like, well, okay. But when you're not having these conversations, unfortunately, my mom was a working mom, so she was sun up, sundown working because she had two very big children to take care of. And so my mom wasn't telling me all of these things. I'm learning it from aunts. I'm learning it from, church folks, godmothers, village, right? And I don't know if we have that anymore. I think people aren't allowing village.
We don't. And I think, and you had mentioned something, you had said, the blame, right? Like you kind of like, who do we blame? And here's the thing, like when it comes to certain topics like this, there are so many different people and things and systems to put some onus on, right? Like there's a couple of people, because like when you think about it, when we ask the question, where do they get the concept of manhood from? Well, the same way we got the concept, right? Like we said, Disney and culture and church, right? So now it's the same thing, music and culture and influencers and all these different things. So this is where they're getting the idea of what a man may look like, what a this may look like. So I don't think that, because there are still some, how do I put this? There are still some hidden gems, right? Scattered to and fro school, right? We have our Mr. Scotts and we have them to and fro here. Yeah. The issue is there is so much influence in one direction that the little waves that we're sparking to be the opposite can not feel like enough, right? It's you have 10 influencers that have access to money, access to brands, access to make themselves look a certain way, that are saying, hey, beating on your wife is good. You get what I'm saying? You have young women who look to be, I live in Miami, so a young Miami and a JT and a mulatto and all these things, and all they're doing is popping. You get what I'm saying? Like all they're doing is, I don't need a man. Like that, then like disrespecting men. So it's no longer just men disrespecting women. Women are disrespecting men in crazy ways. So I think that when we look at responsibility, right, and roles and village, we've taken so much of that out, right? Like no one says anything to kids. I was talking to my husband the other day because he's a high school teacher, and he was like, man, no one says nothing to the kids because the administrators are afraid to teach, are afraid of the parents, and the parents are afraid of the kids, and ultimately the kids run the school. But that's what's happening, right? No one wants to take a stand. And I get why, right? I get why. There's a lot of fear in this atmosphere right now. So you want to kind of mind your business. You want to make sure your little house got it together. But eventually someone does have to step out. Someone does have to sacrifice just a little bit to say, hey, we're not doing this, right? Even it's that simple. The food today is insane. We pump this hormones pumped in this food all over the place in America. So, I mean, we got 13-year-olds that look like they 25. It is insane, right? So now they're trying to do, how do you tell a young lady, hey, look, when you have on a white shirt, you might want to wear a dark color bra. When you have on light pants, you might want to wear dark color. Like there are just things, what do you say to a man who, walk around with shorts? Because now they got these shorts back out. They got the short season out for the men.
The hoochie daddy short.
You want to adjust a little bit, There's no one is taking the onus because some of these kids are just disrespectful. Something like there's so many things coming at us that'll make someone say, let me think about that before I even say something. So there is a lot of role and responsibility that we can place, because it is true. I do blame music, but I also blame the people that are taking the deals and literally selling out and using their platforms and using their influence for things that just don't help us. They don't help us. You got a bunch of kids looking at you and all you're doing is wearing absolutely nothing and talking about beating this person and don't need no man and we don't need to be together, independent. All those things are contrary to the word of God a lot of the times. And it's not being promoted as such. So now we have a whole culture that is fueling a bunch of young kids. So now we see this. It's the same thing. Like we're seeing more kids on vapes. More kids have access to drugs. More like it's a real thing. And it's not only that it's cool, but now it's how I have to live to even just to maintain what's happening. My parents probably just were deported. I have to maintain. This is how I maintain. I have a client now who who just recently had lost his mother due to, you know, trial. He's smoking to maintain. He's not even smoking to just, oh, it's just I need to maintain. We are dealing with kids that are going through things that, to be honest, at 30, 40, 50, we never went through when we were 12 and 13. So we have to put our mindset on that. Like, we're not looking at the same kids. These kids are not us. They have a whole different fight. Just like we were telling our parents, we have a whole different fight, right? So I think we have to look at that and then just meet them where they're at. Meet them where they're at. And I saw a comment. I think you posted a comment up, and they said there are some parents that don't even know that their children are going through this, right? They're going through, and that's true. And I know it's hard, and this is why I say it takes a village, because we're living in times now where we have to work 3 and 4 jobs. How do you tell the single mother who's trying to make ends meet for the 2 or 3 kids that she has to make time to have these discussions? I'm not saying it's impossible, but I am saying it's rather hard when you are by yourself. So it's a village. So why did we, and maybe this is a question we can pose, why did we get rid of community? Or better yet, why was there a system created to make us feel like we didn't need community? Whatever that question may be, how do we get that community back? How do we get that back? And how do we make that now normal? Because that's what's happening. Everyone's living on their own little island, and it's not working.
Yeah. So true. So true. I see you, bro. So true. And the thing about it is, and those who are watching, please, you can answer that question. Like, talk about community, how you were raised. It's even different. You know what I mean? Like, when you were in a neighborhood, you knew not to cut up, because when someone saw you, they were going to tell your parents. And don't be in the church.
She was going to pop you.
Listen, we'll be popped all the way down the street. And don't be in the church. You get popped in your neighborhood and popped when you get to church. I heard you. Were you talking back? I heard you were cutting up at school. I heard you got detention. I heard, right? And it's like, oh, shoot, you did not want to experience that.
Not at all.
And the other thing, too, is it's like, we have allowed society to raise our children.
Exactly.
We have allowed society to raise our children.
Yeah.
And so when we're talking about it, it's like, okay, like, yeah, I have a whole bunch of jobs. I have things I need to do. Society has now said, this is how you're supposed to be. And the youth now will listen to society more than they listen to their own parents. And I'm landing this plane, but it's like what you said, Lady D, was on point. We are talking to this generation like how we would want, you know what I mean? I don't mean we have good conversations with youth. Right. Like, we know, but we as a collective, oh, how do you talk? You know, how did the youth listen to you? You just listen to them. Let them do the talking. And we are not supposed to be giving them the same exact formula and the same exact food that we ate. Their taste buds are different. Yeah. We have to cultivate the same message, but just with different, with the different flavors so they can get it. Bro, I saw you. Would you want to jump in and say?
Okay, so I have a question for you, just for male understanding, right? So let me give you a real example. So we have Chris Brown and Usher getting ready to go on concert tour, right? And
who bought them tickets?
Right. We all know what Chris Brown did to multiple women.
Right.
We saw Rihanna's face 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And that image has never left me. We saw Karrueche Tran's broken nose and busted lip. But women are flocking to see that man in concert. And then people have said, well, Khalid, he has to be forgiven. Khalid, he went through treatment, mandated treatment. He didn't wake up and say, you know, my God, look what I did to these women who I was supposed to love. Court told him to go to these DV classes and anger management classes and substance abuse. And he still, as of recently, when he was over in Italy or somewhere, got into a domestic issue with somebody at a club. So if I'm a young man and I see young women and even women my age in their 50s running to concert venues to see running. And they're making memes now showing young girls in bed with older men so they can get concert tickets to Chris Brown concert. What message does that send, ladies? So educate me, a man, who's saying who's a protective of women, who's a protector of Black women. Why are you all sending me, not you all specifically, but why
Mhm.
do women send us the mixed messages that
Mhm.
we love abusers?
Yeah, I definitely want to jump in on that question. And the reason why I say that is because I'm really, again, as y'all can see, I'm really big on both perspectives.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
I try my best to understand both perspectives. So I pose a question as well to you, because it's the same concept of, we say men want a wholesome, holy, thank you, Lord, woman. But when you look on Instagram, what you liking and what you following and what you
Big
commenting
booty.
on is the opposite of that, right? So what mixed messages, so when I think of a mixed message, then the only thing I can think of, brother, the only thing I can think of is the conditioning of our minds. Like,
Right,
no one, we
right,
have been so conditioned to compartmentalize so much stuff, it makes no sense.
right.
It makes no, when the Bible tells you, I know I'm gonna go to the Bible, when the Bible tells you a good tree can't produce bad fruit and a bad tree can't produce good fruit, right? So
Mhm.
what we've done is we said the fruit is over here and the tree is over here. And that's not how it's supposed to be. What you're producing is what is in you. So that is ultimately what you are, until God heal you, till God give you some type of, salvation, deliverance, whatever. But until then, you are exactly what you're putting out. What we have decided to do is, oh, the music is one thing, the person is different, right?
Right,
Oh, the
right.
talent
Mhm.
is one thing, but the person is different. Oh, the gift
Mhm.
is here, but the person is different. This is why a lot
Mhm.
of people in these places can get away with literally murder, literally sexual abuse, literally with tax evasion. Hello. Like, we can get away with a lot because they have this and we're not going to look at this. So
Mhm.
the mixed messages are only because we have done a great job at compartmentalizing whether we want to believe it or not. So I'm
Mhm.
looking at it as, well, Chris Brown, he got good music, right? But I'm not looking at him as, I probably should stop supporting this, because although he's singing music that is trying to make women feel good, you ultimately seem to be the enemy of a woman, right? So I think
Mhm.
how we do
Right,
that is we
right.
compartmentalize on both parts.
Got
Um,
it,
so
got
that
it.
that that to me is what I would say to that.
Okay,
I'm gonna still
understood.
stand on identity. You hear me? Because I'm not moving far from that square. I feel like, it didn't talk about the Bible. The double-mindedness that the Bible talks about is when we're not even in agreement with self, right?
Right.
It's one thing to not be in agreement with God and his spirit, because yeah, that's a thing. But when we are disaligned within self, right?
Mhm.
This term self-abandonment I heard, and since I heard it, I was like, ooh, that's good. Now I heard it in my own therapy session, because oftentimes I was abandoning self to gain something, right?
Right.
I abandoned my morals, I abandoned my values, I abandoned what I was taught because I wanted something so badly that I was like, yeah, I mean, it's okay. I can shift, I can mold. But
Mm.
that's when my identity was being kind of like deconstructed so it can be, aligned in its proper ways. And so, my friend had asked me the other day, like, Jermaine, you make a lot of allowances for these men in your life. But when it comes to your female friends, you just really like one and done, like, oh, they hurt me, so like I'm done. And it's because I, again, would self abandon to gain attention from men, or to gain,
Mm,
someone liking me, because I was always the homegirl, right? I was a tomboy, so like I was always the homegirl. I'm real cool to hang out with and all this other stuff. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but I'm not trying to be everybody's homegirl. And so I'm like Dawn was saying, is like, okay, so what are they going after though? They going after these hood. Nah, I was never a hood rat, because can't do that. You never find me in a hood rat type situation. But I was like, if I come close, if I come like hood rat adjacent, you know,
Yeah.
I can make that work. And it's like, no, like when you don't know identity, when you don't know self, when it's not strong enough, you're like, hey, I'll take what it is because I need something, right? Like that whole something's better than nothing kind of thing. And I agree with the whole we separate the artist from the production of music and stuff like that. Listen, when Diddy did his thing, I was like, I ain't listening to not another Diddy song. Still don't listen to R. Kelly. Now, Chris Brown, the only one I do listen to is Sensational, but that's because there's like a memory attached to it. But like other than that, like, you know, but it's like, can you really separate the artist from their art? Not really, especially R. Kelly, when half of his music was about someone younger or someone like that. Just no. So I feel like when you know that you know that you know that you know, you're not so quick to abandon self and to put down morals to pick up foolishness.
Yeah, just to pick up something that feels good in the moment. And it's hard because again, these are things that are embedded in music is embedded in culture. I don't care if you black, white, orange, it is embedded in culture. So when you start looking at these artists and artistry and music and woo, it gets tough. You know how many family reunions had debates about R. Kelly? What?
I believe it.
What? No, because what we not gonna do is not play the it just, you know, everyone's gonna have their difference, but just I think what Jermaine said is perfect. Like, yeah, you can't just continue to abandon what you know and or just turn a blind eye, like you said, just ignoring those red flags, because all of those things are red flags. Every last one of those things are red flags. So yeah, no, if I had a baby, no, you can't put no Chris Brown poster up. No. Right? My young girls, they love that show Baddies or whatever. Oh my gosh. I can't stand that show. I cannot stand Baddies is horrible. I hate it. They stand for nothing. They have no integrity. What they present. Now, I can't speak what they do behind closed doors because it could be all acting. Who knows? But my thing is what you're presenting and what you're allowing yourself for, whether it's for money, fame, attention, whatever, what you're presenting is horrible. And it's black women. It is black women. So when it comes down to it, I tell them, hey, like you can't, but I have a limit, you know, because I don't pay for their phones and stuff. But I tell them when it comes to the dorm, the space that I'm in, yeah, you can't. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to see it. I don't want you to smell like you about to act like baddies. We're not doing that, because there has to be a place where you say, hey, like, yeah, that's perfect. Integrity is it's a lifestyle. It shouldn't just be a choice. It should be a lifestyle. It should be something that we're saying, hey, that doesn't match, because those same people, will they be able to be your doctors? Will they be like, let's like, now we got to really take it serious, because now we're talking about systems. When we put ourselves in systems where there are policy makers, right? It's policy that comes in when it comes to the protection of black women that has been unnoticed. The fact that black women can go missing for years and years and years and no one care. That's policy. So if I'm out here on a TV show, twerking, shaking, whatever, who's really taking me serious? Who's really taking me serious? Right. No one is. So now the stigma that we're adding to it is, oh, that's what they want in the first place. Oh, they dress like that because that's how they want to be treated. Absolutely not. And I'm not saying that makes it okay, but what we're presenting is not making it any better. So there's a lot of things that we have to do, but that baddies be ooh. And I'm merciful, because you know they used to have bad girls club, so I used to, you know, partake. I used to partake.
I ain't gonna sleep because of y'all, and y'all ain't gonna sleep because of me.
Even that, there was such a difference, right? Like
it's completely different nowadays. Like, oh my God. Turned the tide, but it's accomplishing its goal. It is prospering the thing for which it was sent for. Do you know what I mean? It will not return to itself void. That type of degradation, that seed is of something that is sent out, and it is accomplishing it.
Yeah, it is.
Its goal, and it is changing a whole generation in a society. And I want to turn the tide on the conversation, right? Where we have identified what's going on. Well, identified that there's an issue and kind of listed certain things. But what does it look like in young men and young women who are being abused? Yeah. What this is for the parents. We have parents in the chat. Big up everybody in the chat. We see you. Yes. We have parents in the chat. We have aunties in the chat. We have uncles in the chat. We have those who are interacting with youth. We have youth pastors and youth leaders. What does it look like what signs will be exhibited from our teens and young adults when they're being abused, or when they are the abuser, because the abuser has a certain language as well.
Mm-hmm.
Those who are being abused, you know, like, okay, what does that look like? What from you all, how have you identified that? But what language is the abuser using? We need to spotlight this so that when people hear that or see that, they know, oh, let me go and investigate a little further, and we could save lives right here on this live.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. Well, what it looks like for a teenage perpetrator is what it would look like for a 25-year-old, a 35-year-old. It's a disrespectful undertone.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's being called out, calling her out her name, and
mm,
she's accepting it. It's not saying, or it could be using bay, hey, bay, hey, 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 honey pot. But then it's the message that comes behind it. And remember, the abuse is never overt, it's covert, right? So
mm,
it starts off with the little shoving or the little wrestling, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm pushing the envelope. I want to see what you let me get away with. I used to have this mindset that if a young man knew a young lady had multiple brothers, he would know better to mess with her, right? Because if she tells on me, then I'm going to have her 5 big brothers coming after me. Well,
yep.
men have learned to get around that. They push the envelope and they'll see if I smack her, did she go and tell her 5 brothers? If she didn't tell her 5 brothers, then that means I got control of her. Because what she should be using as one of her protections, she doesn't. She doesn't call on her brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Because why? One, she might be protective of them.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I'm protective of my new boyfriend, who I don't want to lose. And I can take him smacking me upside the head. I could take him calling me a bitch. It's for fun. And then also, ladies, if you didn't know, pillow talk is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
The way I persuade you to let me abuse you and let you also think at the same time that I am protective of you, that I'm loving
Mm,
you, that I am complimenting you. When I act jealous because you got a male best friend and I tell you stop hanging with all your friends, they don't like me. And if they don't like me, you shouldn't like them. That's his way of isolating you, right? That's his way of making him in the forefront of everything in your life. So when when we
sorry,
see that
Khalid,
happening,
can you mention, I want to just circle back a little bit. You were mentioning about like us, like a sister who has brothers, wanted to protect them. You told me about this case, and someone just mentioned in the comments. Can we just pause right there for a second and just mention what happened on that, please?
right? So I don't have the article in front of me, but it was 2 brothers. They were both born the same day, but 5 years apart. Their sister was involved in a domestic violence relationship. They went over to her house to see what was going on, and the boyfriend ended up shooting both of them to death. Right, and
Mm,
this
mm,
just happened, I think yesterday or the day before yesterday.
yeah, yeah.
Right. And so a lot of us men who have women in our families, we've experienced this. I had a cousin, her boyfriend gave her a black eye. So me, her brother, and our 2 other boy cousins, we jumped in my car and we ran over to that dude's house and we was gonna pop it like it's hot up in there. Well, my cousin ran out the house and she jumped in front of the boyfriend.
See,
And I said, T, what are you doing? She said, Ben, that's my nickname. Ben, leave him alone. We got into a fight. I hit him and he hit me. And I said, T, understand this. This is my last time ever coming over here again. We wanted to risk our lives to help you, but you like this. And I got a family that I got to make sure is taken care of. I got a child who needs to see me come home every night. And I cannot be a part of this mess you're in because you appear to enjoy this.
Mm.
And that was the longest drive home with my three cousins. And one of them said, Ben, we told you she wasn't gonna move, she wasn't gonna leave. So that's the other frustrating part. And now that young lady in New
Mm.
York, she had her brother's blood all over her dress.
Yep.
To
Yep.
know that she's gonna always feel responsible for her two brothers being killed
Mm.
because of a choice she made to be with somebody who was abusing her.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm.
again, we got work to do on all levels.
Yeah.
Mm.
On all
Mm.
levels.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I would say to answer a lot of the questions, I think when you are trying to identify the abuser, it's really about like this anger that they have, like this irritability and this low tolerance, and then it does come out in words, it does come out in mood swings, and
Yes.
like paying attention not just to like Khalid was saying about the name changing or calling someone outside their name, even if it's boo, honey, sweetie, whatever. It's like, okay, you don't know your girl's name. Like, what are we talking? But also like in the way that he talks about her, or vice versa, because men are being abused as well. So like in the way that like if she's emasculating her own boyfriend, that's a flag because it's like, why are you
Mm.
you're with him? Why are you emasculating him? Or in the same ways, like if it sounds degrading, if it sounds belittling, if it sounds like he just has this very low tolerance of her, if he's always complaining about, the relationship and things like that, that could be an indicator. For the victim, it could sound a lot, or not just sound, but look like the withdrawal. It looks like, no, like there's all these excuses that just keep coming. Like, no, like again, that situation that he was just saying about like, yeah, well, we both were fighting. It was an argument. We both, threw hands, and it's like, right. So that just sounds toxic in general. Like regardless of who's the abuser, it just sounds like abuse is a part of the relationship. And someone had asked before, how do we bridge the gap? And I think it's really about community and listening, being present. Like I had a forum and I talked about the necessity of being present. We are the most distracted, disconnected, distance people in generation ever. We feel so close yet so far from people because we're not
Mm.
present, we're not here, we're not listening, we're
Mm.
not checking in, we're not making ourselves available. And it's like, now I am a firm believer in boundaries because people they need them. But it's like, if I haven't checked on you in a while and the last time I heard from you there was a situation going on, I should probably try something, say something, reach out, even
Yeah.
if I'm texting you and you're not texting me back, so at least a person knows, okay, well, I may have shut them out, or I may have shut down completely, but I know someone's available. And I think when abusers do their job well, they have disconnected the victim from everybody, right?
Come on.
Her has changed.
Absolutely.
You're no longer on social media. They can't get a hold of you. And it's like, well, we're going to figure out some way. If we got to go old school and write a letter, we got to pop in and leave a nice little flower on the step to let you know that, hey, yo, bro, like whenever you need it. You know what I'm saying? It's finding out how to make yourself present and how to make yourself available. And again, like Khalid said, provide options, or maybe that was Tom. Somebody said, provide options, because they're never just going to up and leave, because up and leaving before has turned into a black eye, a broken
Right.
rib, a bloodied face. It has turned into children being threatened, parents being threatened. So, and this is happening again for the adults and these young people. Like, these young people are scared to say anything because it's like, hey, I know where your mama, your nana, your brother, I know everybody. Don't think I can't go find them, and don't think that I won't find out that you'll say something. You know what I'm saying? So teachers have to be alert. Bus drivers have to be alert. Crossing guards have to be alert. Neighbors have to be alert. Like, this is a community problem. This isn't just a singular, isolated family thing. Like, the whole community has to be on alert and listening. And, like they say when at the airports, if you see something, say something. Like if you see a vacant bag, say something. It's like, hey, you got to say something, because
Yeah.
chances are people will never speak up, because fear they have been conditioned to fear. And fear will keep you grappled to situations that you should have been free from a long time ago. So community sounds like is the bridge to the gap. Bridging the gap.
No, it's so true. And abusers can hide with the lack of community. If you isolate someone from the community, you know what I mean? And then we do get so busy, right? We get so busy, or we're just occupied with other things, right? And you forget to check on someone, and you forget to say, oh, I haven't heard from this person in a while. That's an abuser's dream.
Mm-hmm.
No one's checking on them. No, they usually someone moves you away from your family, either a different state or just far away, or they cause division with your family, or they make they make separation, make arguments, and all this stuff. And it's like you want to keep the abuser wants to keep them isolated and separate, because it's like when you have the community, you can really say, I know my identity. I think community and identity go hand in hand now, because it's like my identity is rooted in my community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My community affirms me. They tell me this, they tell me that. And when I don't have that, you literally cling. And when we see this in young teens and young adults, especially in high school and middle school, we see them clinging so emotionally close to their significant other.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you've been intimate, if you've been physical with someone, those bonds that are formed, you will literally take whatever. You will take the physical abuse, but first you've already taken the emotional abuse. That's where it started.
Right.
You wrap them in, you get them all tied in, and then, it's just a little hit. It's just a little pat. It's a love tap. That's how they show that they love me. And that's how people get stuck in that. And so I would say, even in schools, like if someone is too close, like it's like you can't breathe without the other person. Watch what's going on. Watch, teachers, administrators, counselors, be watchful of that. Someone's just too close. Like you can't be away from someone for just a moment. And it's like, what's happening? There's too deep of a connection there.
Yeah, I definitely feel like being present in all roles and in all capacities is very important. I think studies have shown, like, just like you said, that void, that feeling of just not being seen, whether it be by family or whatever, not accepted in culture or whatever it may be, it leaves people so much more at risk for so many things. Like when we look at studies, when we look at like gangs and how they are started and how they recruit and different things, a lot of them have a void. They wanted family. They wanted to feel like they belonged to something bigger. And that same concept is also, you can find it in these types of toxic relationships a lot of the time. And specifically because we are talking about teenagers, young adults, high schoolers, because we're talking about that, we cannot negate the fact that because the brains are still developing, because there's so much that's still being developed and grown, it is our duty as the ones that have experience and have some wisdom to put those seeds, as a parent, I wish, and again, this is me speaking also from a personal testimony, right? So I wish my parents were more involved at the school, because there would have been a teacher that would have told them what they saw, right? There would have been a counselor that would have told them what they saw, what I was going through, right? So if you just have a moment to and I know that we're busy. Like, I get that. I know that we're busy, distracted, and actually busy. Like, I get that. Yeah. But there has to be a space. Again, that sacrifice has to come. Without love, without sacrifice, you don't have love. You're going to have to sacrifice time, body, money, energy. Something has to be sacrificed. So if we're saying we love our community, if we're saying we love our children, if we're saying we love this, there has to come a level of sacrifice where I'm going to say, okay, I know this may be hard for family night to come, or this may be hard for parent-teacher conferences, because they still do them. They're still happening, but we don't have a lot of parents coming.
The parents aren't attending, but
because these teachers and these counselors get to see your kids, and not only most of the day, but in a different way where they may not present with you. they won't present it with you, but they'll present it here. So now I can tell you, oh yeah, your child is definitely disrespectful. Oh yeah, your child is a little bit violent. Like, they can say these things. And when you hear them, don't just automatically go, not my child, because a lot of times what happens is what you see in your child is usually what you see in you, and you don't like you, so you don't like what you hear about your child.
Yeah,
but the
parents
point
just-
is, they're
Yeah.
getting it from somewhere. A lot of them are getting it from somewhere, and it may be you. You may be the culprit. Be open to that, but take that time to really check in with the people that get to see your children all the time. Listen to some of the music. Pay attention to what they're watching. Like, that plays a big part. If they're listening to music, there is some music now that's like this R&B, and all this R&B sounds like suicide. And I'm just like, why is everyone so depressed? Like, what is going on, right? But listen to those things, because whether we want to believe it or not, what we intake, whether it be music, whether it be what we watch, that also does play a part in our culture, our individual, that shapes identity, that shape, how many people wanted to be a princess when they grew up because they saw princesses? It's the same thing as you grow up. I want to be just like this artist because I feel like they're this. I feel like I connect with them. So they're putting on these personas too. So just be very, like, just be aware. Observe, pay attention to your children, pay attention to the fact that they are listening to this or they are watching this. Are they hanging out with friends? I'm really big on making sure I know the friends, because now if I see you not hanging out with friends, what happened? What's going on? Why am I not hearing that name anymore? Why am I not seeing that face come to my house anymore? Like, these are things that, again, without even being so prying, just being observant can tell you so much. So let's not be so distracted or so busy that we're forgetting about the ones that we love, the children, our babies that we love. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there, because and understand that, just like with an adult, even more with a teenager, that power struggle that we're going through when it comes to an abusive relationship is so real. So yeah, 1 minute they'll be like, yeah, I don't want to be with that person no more, bump that. And then tomorrow they're with them. Do not be discouraged. Don't let that make you say, you know what, it is what it is. No, continue to plant the seeds, continue to pray with them. Like, do these things, because they can't eventually alter. You can't unhear what you hear. You can't do that. You hear it. So just keep doing it. Don't let that make you give up, because it's gonna be that tug of war. It's gonna be that going back and forth until they come to a certain revelation or maturity or understanding. But do not give up. Like, please don't give up, because the moment that you do, it allows for them to just believe whatever they wanted to believe about whatever thoughts, minds, irrational behaviors they've made okay. So please don't give up on your kids.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So I got to get ready to jump off and get back to work. But I wanted to,
Yes.
I wanted to also discuss next steps,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And tomorrow I'm going to a high school here in Chicago to talk to teen boys about mental illness and wellness, to talk about suicide ideation, to talk about grief, and to talk about domestic violence. So this was right on time, Lady Lilac, that you had this forum for me, because I learned a lot from you all. But I wanted, and one of the things I'm going to say to the young men is that you all know better. You all know better. And when you know better, you have the capacity to do better. And if you don't know better, I want you to find one person in your village who you think knows more than you to teach you better, right? And I want to tell the young men, because I'm going to have a picture of my daughter, and I'm going to be like, young men, one day you're going to have daughters, right? Or you may have a daughter now. You have sisters and moms and aunties. Would you want to see somebody put their hands on them? And if your answer is no, which I'm going to assume it is, then you be that person who never puts your hands on somebody other than to love them or love on them, right? If you're having issues, if you're seeing domestic violence, talk to your counselor, talk to the coach, talk to your favorite teacher, talk to your mentor, talk to the social worker, talk to a neighbor, talk to somebody to get that toxicity out, right?
Mm,
If you're dating a young lady and she appears to like that kind of behavior, run the opposite direction from her. You know what I'm saying? You have to self-regulate yourself,
Good.
and you have to learn to be leaders. And leaders don't hit women. Leaders don't allow people to hit them
Yeah.
and disrespect and dishonor them,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
yeah.
And if you need resources, I want you to call Dr. Scott and ask, hey, give me some resources. But there's always an answer to every problem under the sun. But sometimes you have to seek it. And I want you to use this wonderful thing called a cell phone. If you need to find resources, just go to Google, hit that search bar, and say, this is what I need. And you'll get a ton of resources that pop up. But
Mm,
we got to recondition all of us. And
Yeah.
we got to do better because we know there is something better to have out here. And again, I thank you for having me on the show today.
No, for sure. I think it's a great segue to landing this plane, right? We're on the descent, like we're coming down.
Yeah.
So thank you for that wrap up. And please let people know how they can reach you, like on social media, like let people know. And then Jermaine and Lady D, I'm gonna ask you to do the same thing in your wrap up. Let people know how they can reach you. And if you have any events or anything coming up, let people know about that too, please.
Okay. So my name is Khalid Scott. Do a Google
Yeah,
search. I'm on every social media platform. I make
awesome.
myself available. I'm also on
Hmm.
psychologytoday.com. I'm in private practice at International High Achievers here in Chicago. And my number is 312-43 Scott, 312-437-2688. And I'll put my and if you can, Lady Lilac, put my information in the comment section.
Sure will, sure will, and
Okay.
we'll all be in the comments, when we get off the live responding, so people will see, all of our names, so that if anyone wants
Got
to
you.
contact. But thank you for being that resource. You know what I mean? For
Mhm.
men who, they feel comfortable speaking to a man about certain things, and that's fine.
Absolutely.
We're removing excuses. Oh, I don't know about someone now, and they gave you their phone
Right.
number and all the information. So here we are. The resources are there. Thank you so much for that,
Take
Jermaine.
care, ladies. Be well.
Thank you so
Nice.
much.
All
Thank you,
right.
thank
Yeah.
you, thank you so much. Blessings. Thank you.
Yeah. Did- He's got a whole lot of letters behind his name, which means he know what he's talking.
Exactly. I know.
Yeah, you can find me a Fighting Chance CS on most social medias. I'm technically on TikTok, like I'm on there. It's just not a lot on there. But Threads and Instagram and Facebook of Fighting Chance CS or Fighting Chance Counseling. Podcasts, youtube.com/at AFCCS77. And yeah, so I do have an event coming up for all my New Englanders or people that want to come to New England, because you still have time. You have 24 days to make it happen. It is called
Plenty of time.
Occupy Your Space Where I Belong. It is being held on May 30th in Reading, Massachusetts from 3 to 6:30. It is really about mental wealth in the brown and black community. So we can talk about breaking cycles and building legacy. We're going to be talking about identity. We're going to be affirming you, making sure that you feel safe, you feel heard, you feel seen, and you don't just come in there and just learn about mental health. We're also going to leave you with strategies. You get a nice little gift basket card thing from me. And there's going to be raffles there. We're going to have a mini art gala. I will be one of the artists, and then there's 4 other artists. Our youngest artist is 9. She's 9,
Wow.
So we're going to have some art there. We're going to have spoken word from Brother D. So he's going to be there. He's from Boston. And then we have Shay. She's going to be spoken word. Mimi's going to be spoken word. We're going to have a panel discussion. My brother Trev, he's going to be cooking some soul food. So,
Right.
there's food there. There's going to be snacks. There's going to be drinks, non-alcoholic, of course, because we got to stay focused. We got to stay connected.
Hello.
Right? And then there's going to be a men and women breakout session. So life coach Chris is going to be leading with Corden James. They're going to be leading the male breakout. My good friend, good pastor, Alexis Benoit, she's going to be leading it with my mentee Shay. They're going to be leading the female breakout session. So there's going to be something for everybody. Okay, all generations are welcome, not the alphas though. Sorry, alphas, y'all too young for this conversation. But from 15 and up, ages 14 and up, please come. Again, you can find us on Eventbrite, or you can find it on any of my socials because I've been posting like a mad woman about it. So feel free to come and enjoy it. There are ticket sales. For adults, it is $50. For teenagers, it's $35. And I know that sounds like a lot, but y'all, we spend way more on foolishness. Okay, this is an event. This is a movement. So please come, be healed, be well, and let's do it together as a community.
Awesome. And please drop your links in this chat, in the chat of this live, so people can click on it directly and they can see all the things. If you're in the area, come on and come out. We need these spaces where we can learn how to occupy our space, come back to our bodies, our identity, and know all that. So if you're looking for something, come on, the link will be there. Click on it and come on. Men, we need you to come out. Okay, fellas, brothers, come on, because it's the time of the healed, not just the healed woman, the healed man and woman. And when we're healed, we can come back together as a community. So thank you so much for that. We'll be looking out for that link. Lady D, wrap us up.
Hey, all right. So of course, this is always good. Again, it's always good to be with you guys.
I love you so much.
I missed this. But you can follow me on Instagram, Heal with Dominique. Dominique, just as it's written here with my name. So here with Dominique, and there you'll see a bunch of stuff. Right now, I just have a bunch of panels, a lot of different panels coming up. So I know the one coming up the most soonest is May 16th. Had to make sure I had the right date. May 16th at 5 p.m. So that's a mental health discussion panel in Fort Lauderdale. So if you are in the South Florida area, just come on down. It should be really good. I always enjoy talking about mental health. So, other than that, just follow me here with Dominique. I don't really have anything else going on other than going to these city halls and going to these different places to make sure that they're actually doing things to heal the people. So that's my main focus right now. Also, resource, since we're wrapping up. There is also, because I noticed since we're talking about teens, they don't like to call. They tend to like to text a lot more. So there is make sure the national, if I'm not mistaken, the national domestic hotline. Make sure. Hold on. Yeah, they have where you can just text. The National Domestic Violence Hotline. You can just text. They have English. They have so many languages. I think it's like over 200 languages to interpret. But you can just text. Like you can text and say, "Hey, I need help. Hey, I need to talk. Hey." Just in case, like for whatever reason, if you feel you really just can't talk to anybody for whatever reason, that may be, you do have someone that you don't have to see them. They don't have to know too much about you. They don't have to, but it's just a place where you can kind of talk if you need some additional help, if you need some resources, and you don't want to be the person that's on the phone or, whatever, you can just text. So that is always good. So I think you text like begin to 88788, if I'm not mistaken, and that kind of starts it, and then you can just chat with a live person. So that's good. So I just wanted to kind of mention that because again, we're talking about teens, and I know when I was a teenager, the moment that a phone came on, I was ready for texting. I don't, I like texting. So so keep that in mind. And I think that was it. There was something else. Thank you, Lord. So a lot of parents, you have different types of children, right? So you have those that kind of, don't really require much. You have those that may be a little extra needy, things like that. I think what we do when we talk about domestic violence or any type of abuse or anything, we look for a specific type of thing, right? And I think someone in the comment was like, I've learned to not just look for the black eye and the bruise, which is good, right?
Right.
So just know that it doesn't have like one set look all the time. Yes, we have some kind of foundational things we can pull from, but it doesn't have one set look. So specifically those sons or daughters that don't really tend to require much, they're the ones that you kind of like in your mind are like, oh, Dominique got it, Teresa got it, Ellen got it, whatever. Be mindful that they need you too, right? So just because they show up as strong and they show up as someone that is mature and maybe can handle a lot, doesn't mean that they can handle that. I don't think anyone is made to handle abuse. So just check in on those people. Check in, because they may not say a lot and they may not even show up a certain way. They may still smile at the dinner table. They may still try to make sure everybody's okay, and they're truly dying on the inside. So please, please, please keep that in mind. Everyone's personality is a little different, and some people will sacrifice, again, a lot to make sure that the family's okay. And you do that as kids. You don't just do that as an adult. Sometimes you learn to do that as a kid. So please, please keep that in mind.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you both so much. And thank you, Khalid. I know you had to go. Thank you for your time. Like, this conversation was so good, because sometimes we just will present a problem and not give any solutions or next steps. So it's really important that we get resources. We get, like, there's so much information. And so thank you to everyone who's in the chat, who was giving their own opinions and thoughts. Like, we're going to continue to have these conversations forever, right? Because we know that domestic violence isn't going away. We want to see it lessen. Like, we want to see it lessen. We want to see more people informed. We will do our due diligence and continue to have these chats. These are uncomfortable conversations. These are taboo. These are things that we shove under the rug. We're removing the rug because we want to see lives saved. All the incidents, all the fatal incidents that happened, no more. We don't want to see that anymore. We're talking about it. And it's good that we're talking to our young people now, because it's hard to change someone's mind when you're an adult. And we can catch it earlier. We can identify it earlier. Let's do that. And so everyone do their due diligence. Parents, look at the signs, see what's going on. Get into your children's business. That's what I'll say, a wrap up. Get into your children's business, okay? Counselors, get into your children's business. Get into the business of these youth. This is our next generation. This is who's going to be coming up when we're going and headed off into the sunset, on to glory, up yonder to Zion, okay? They're going to be the ones. We are solely responsible for helping to shape the future, okay? So let's do that. Get into people's business. It's about community. It's about Ubuntu. I am because you are. And so we're all in each other's business, not in a nosy way, but in a healing way. Like, I see you and I know you're going through something. I'm not going to ignore you. I'm not going to keep my head in my phone. I'm going to say I acknowledge you. So again, thank you both. I love you both so much. I appreciate you. This was great. Felt like old times, okay? You know what I mean? Awesome. Thank you to everyone who tuned in live. Thank you to everyone who will be on the rewatch ministry. Keep posting comments. Keep letting us know your thoughts and opinions. And we're going to keep having these conversations, because this is what we need to do. So thank you for tuning in. We will see you on the next episode. Peace and blessings.